Hello and welcome to the Car Care Now channel. Thank you for tuning in for part 2 of how to maintain your Toyota. In today's video, we're going to be talking about engine coolant, hybrid system coolant, and we're also going to be talking about transmission fluid for various Toyota models. So, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on your bell notifications, and if you haven't seen part 1, please go in the playlist and find part 1, see it first. This is going to be part 2. Thank you for coming back, and let's get right to it. Moving on to engine coolant. Now I know this says Mazda. We'll get to that in a second, just hang tight. There's 5 types of coolant. I only have 3 here. There's 2 other ones that I couldn't find because they're that rare, and we'll get to that in a second too. But let's focus on the most important, the real Toyota coolant. There's 2 types. There's red cap for red coolant, pink cap for pink coolant, and that's it. Focus on these 2 for a second. This guy was used from when Toyota was made until between 2003 and 2004. That's when they changed over to this guy. If your car is 2003, 2004, you either have this guy or this guy. Let's talk about the red coolant. If your car is 2002 and below, let's say, this gets replaced every 30,000 or 3 years. Nothing else. It's that simple. Now, the pink coolant. As you can see, it says super long life because it is longer life. This coolant, when you buy your car new, the first time you replace it is 100,000 miles or 5 years, whichever comes first. After that first replacement is every 5 years, 50,000. Here's what I'm going to tell you though from experience. Most people will not hit 100,000 miles before 5 years of buying the car new. So you're going to be replacing this guy at 5 years. By the way, this also happens to be the same coolant for the hybrid system, for the inverter coolant. Separate little coolant system for the hybrid to cool it down. Nothing fancy about it. Uses the same coolant. Now here's something about coolant. I don't like aftermarket coolants, and I'm going to tell you why. You can buy these guys for almost the same price as the aftermarket coolants. Yes, the aftermarket coolant is available everywhere. Do you know you can buy these at a lot of places, not just Toyota dealership? You just got to do your research. Again, I would stick with Toyota coolant because we have had 0 problems. You start mixing and matching aftermarket with this, aftermarket with that, we're going to have problems. This is one, stick with the original. It's not worth it. It's every 5 years. And this stuff is not expensive. I don't know prices. I don't sell parts. But I've done it for my cars. It's not expensive. I'd stick with the original. If you want to go aftermarket, make sure it's compatible. But again, before you buy this, run to buy this from the dealer, shop around. 5 years, 100,000 miles. But very important that after that, it becomes 50,000 miles. So you'll probably hit that 50,000 before the 5 years after that. Now, the 3 other types of coolants that Toyota sells, this is the first one. The reason it says Mazda is, this is the green, again, green cap for the 2016 Scion IA, and then the Yaris IA, and now the new Yaris hatchback. Folks, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a Mazda underneath. They slapped some badges on the car. It's a Mazda 2, great car. I'm not bashing the car, it's actually a great car, but it's not a Toyota. It uses Mazda coolant. Shop around. Do not buy this from a Toyota dealership. They buy it from Mazda. Mazda charges profit, and then Toyota charges profit, then they sell it to you. Just go direct to them. If you own an IA, a Yaris IA or a Scion IA or the new Yaris hatchback IA, buy it from Mazda. It's green coolant. If you need a question, I'll take a picture of this and put it for you so you know all the info. Get it from Mazda, it's cheaper. Or if you're going to go buy aftermarket coolant, make sure it's compatible with Mazda, not Toyota. The 2 other coolant types are for the Scion FRS or Toyota 86, which is going to be a blue cap. Again, don't buy it if you own one of those cars. Buy that from Subaru. That car is made jointly by Subaru and Toyota. We're not going to get into that, but it's Subaru Coolant. You buy it from Toyota, you're going to pay more than Subaru. You buy it somewhere else, you're probably going to pay less than Subaru. So there's that. The last type is for the 2020 Supra. I've never even seen that model. I don't think it exists yet. It's made by BMW. And that one goes to 150,000. So we're not even worried about that one. So there's that. When it comes to coolant, I'd stick with the Toyota Coolant. But shop around. See if you can get it cheaper. But it's not that expensive. Most cars will take 1 gallon of the pink. This guy right here, don't go buying 2 gallons because this is not mixed. You got to mix it. So this, the red one, makes 2 gallons. This is ready to pour in your car. Most cars will take 1. Majority of the bigger cars like Highlander, Sienna, Camry, bigger cars will take 2, and some of them will take 3. But your Corolla, Yaris, smaller cars, 1, maybe 1 a little bit, so I'd always buy 2. Moving on to transmission fluid. Few kinds here. Let's leave this guy for a second. Again, Mazda, I don't even remember the name of it, Type FZ. Again, this is for your Scion IA, Toyota IA sedan, and then the Yaris hatchback, the new Yaris hatchback, IA. There are Mazda 2. Sure, your Toyota dealer will have this, it'll be more expensive. When it comes to transmission fluid, dealership, don't buy anything else. This is compatible with that, and it's not worth it. Do you want to take that $4,000 or $5,000 gamble now? I wouldn't. Please don't. It's not worth it. I'd rather you leave your transmission fluid alone than go put some aftermarket fluid. This is one touchy part here, and you gotta be careful with this. If your car needs this, go buy it in the Mazda dealer. It's Type FZ. Here it is. So don't buy this from a Toyota dealership. It's way too expensive. Research. You could find it online even cheaper than the Mazda dealership. Let's move on to the main types. And this guy here is a problem one. We got 3 types. Let's keep it very simple. If your car has a dipstick, you have a transmission dipstick, there's 2 types of fluids it could be. Can't be this guy. If your transmission dipstick is red, your transmission fluid is regular. T4, there is, actually this one you can use aftermarket. There's a lot of compatible stuff with this. This is just a good old, simple transmission fluid. It's awesome. These transmissions had no problems. However, this guy needs to be replaced every 30,000 or 3 years. Otherwise, you're going to have problems with the trans. Very cheap, nothing fancy about it. If you got a red dipstick on your car, on your Toyota, all Toyota models, this is your fluid right here. Replaced every 30,000, 3 years, and you're good to go. Now we come to the problem guy. If your Toyota has a black dipstick or has no dipstick at all, this is going to be your ATF WS, which stands for World Standard. That's these funny names. I wonder if there's somebody that works at Toyota with a big salary and a job and everything that comes up with these names. Anything World Standard, what does that mean? Whatever. This guy is the biggest debate and the most asked questions. Toyota tells you, well, don't replace the fluid for the life of the trans. You just got to check the fluid level though. Well, is Toyota gonna pay the bill at 120, 130,000 miles when that $5,000 trans goes? They're not. You're gonna though, because you're probably out of warranty and even extended warranty and everybody. So folks, do me a favor. Replace the transmission fluid on your WS Toyota every 60,000 miles or 6 years. Don't risk it. I know they say sealed for life and this and that. I'm there when the customer's transmission goes at 150 and they're not happy. They're not happy because the fluid is burned. Please change it. Moving on, there's one car that is an exception to this guy that does not have a dipstick but does not use that fluid. Starting in 2014 in the Corolla, Toyota uses CVT transmission. There's a lot of talk about this transmission, how it's not reliable, how Nissan has a lot of problems. Folks, this transmission is very good, but it has one thing. You gotta use this fluid. It's not the same as this, or of course this. This fluid, a little pricey. You can only buy this from the dealership. Don't put aftermarket. Do this every 60,000. 6 years, 60,000. Yes, it's gonna get expensive, much more expensive than this guy, because you need 1.5 of these to replace the fluid. And these things are expensive. You can see that they're fancy can here. I think the can costs more than the fluid, but you know, that's how it is. Change this guy every 60,000. Again, you will have no problems with that CVT. All the problems we've had with CVTs is either under recall or very early build ones that has an issue from manufacturing, or 200,000 miles original fluid. Boom, trans is gone. So change it, you'll have no problems at all. So this is going to be a wrap for today's video for this part. Stay tuned for future parts that will cover more subjects on your Toyota maintenance. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. Also, leave a comment below if you have any questions, you have any comments. You're also welcome to email me at thecarcarenut@gmail.com. May the Lord bless you and keep you, and you have a wonderful day.